Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. And I'm just looking at my surface here and seeing I've got some shadows. So I'm gonna see if I can increase the light here and make that a little bit less shadows. Okay. So this card, I got the paper stack, the paper set for the True Gentleman, and the papers are really very pretty. And I decided I wanted to design a guy card, and so I did this one. I'm going to make a few changes, but not much. But here's some of the colors and the papers that are in here, and I've used this sheet here, and I've used this sheet and this one to make my card here today. Also included in this, and let's see, it's chocolate chip, crumb cake, crushed curry, Night of Navy, tranquil tide, and very vanilla that this coordinates with. And let's see, and these are some of the other papers that are in here. There's this cute little bow tie, and then this stripe, these glasses, and then a plaid, which is very pretty, and that's got that crushed curry in it. Isn't that pretty? And then this kind of, I don't know what it is, just a pattern. Depending on how you look at it, it's diamonds or X's. And then this one has got little mustaches and pipes. And this, again, this same kind of a pattern as this one, but in different colors. And this pretty brown houndstooth. This is the chocolate chip, I think. And then this tranquil tide stripe. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, I got to thinking about what I wanted to do with this, and I came up with this design. And so this is what you'll need to make this card. We will need a piece of Night of Navy Cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then we'll need a piece of Crumb Cake, 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside. And then we need some scrap of this pattern paper and some scrap of some Night of Navy for our sentiment. And then a piece, I just went ahead and cut this piece to fit, even though I'm going to cover some of it up. A piece of this piece of designer series paper that's 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have 2 strips, I have 3 strips, 2 of this pattern that I cut just a little bit longer than 4. I think I cut them at 4 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. This one is 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4. And this one is 1 inch by 4 1/4. And that's going to allow me to trim down. And then I'm using one of the buttons from this True Gentleman button collection. And I've got 2 sets in here. That's why there's so many in here. But there's lots of very different pretty buttons. And I kind of like this little one for this project. So I'll be using that button. And I'm using some linen thread, which is here someplace. I'll find it in a minute. And let's see what else. Oh, this punch. This is the punch that comes with the True Gentleman series. And so we're going to use this. And the ink I'm using is chocolate chip. And then the stamp set I'm using, I used Guy Greeting because I love the happy birthday sentiment from this stamp set. And you can see how well used mine is. Got it mounted here. I've practically worn it out over time. Okay, so let's just get started here. I'll move some of these things out of the way. And let's see, we're going to start with this piece. Now, on this designer series paper that I used, this paper, what I did was I cut this paper very deliberately so that it had this little design right across the bottom. And I trimmed it such that that's the way it came out, because that's the little piece that I wanted here. And so what I did was I laid this piece down across the bottom of the page here. And use some snail. Let's see, where's my, oh dear, I don't see my silicone mat. So I'm flying without a net here. Okay, so I'm going to put this piece down here so that it overhangs this piece of designer series paper by just a smidge on both ends, so that I can trim it to exactly the right size. Then I'm going to add this piece here on. I guess better get some snail on the ends of that. And this piece I wanted to show just a little bit of the piece below, and I did want a couple of rows of those colors in there. So I'm just going to set this down right across there. Let's get some of this glue off of here. And then I did use, the other thing that I did use was some of this ribbon that also comes with that True Gentleman, and it's a navy, almost a corduroy ribbon. And on this one, what I did was I cut it to fit exactly because it's awfully thick to roll under. So in order to make this work, this time I am going to tuck it underneath, because I found that this little edge wants to fray, and I'm just afraid it'll get where it's going, its destination, and it'll have little frayed edges, and I don't want that. And so I used 2 pieces of this, and I'm going to tuck them under this piece of designer series paper, and then because it's so thick, what I'll do is I'll mount this on the front on dimensionals or foam tape or something like that to kind of get it up off the edge there. So the first thing I'm going to do is to trim my paper here. So I'm just going to trim those edges so they line up perfectly with my underlying paper. And I'm going to do this from the back so I can see what I'm doing. And cut that off. Now, that now fits absolutely perfectly on there. Let me get these little pieces off of here. And then I'm going to, and I've pre-cut my ribbon. I've got 2 pieces of ribbon here, and they measure, no, I think that's the wrong pieces. I cut 2 more pieces. Well, and they've disappeared. So I'm going to cut some more. I need these pieces to be enough to go underneath without straining here on this piece of paper. So it looks to me like I need about 5.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 5.5, and then I'll cut a second piece to match, and we'll put our ribbon in place. And I only wanted just this tiny little strip of that pattern showing there. So what I'm going to do is set my ribbon down across the bottom of this and wrap it around the back. And so on this, I'm also going to add some glue. I hate operating without my silicone mat. I may have to just go find it. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to put some snail on the back of this and wrap that ribbon around there. Get it as flat as I can. There. Oh, that's going to make me much happier. All right, so then I need to put this piece in place at the top, and I'm doing that so that I'll know right where to put my sentiment on this card. And I will be right back. I'm going to go get my silicone mat. So I'm going to put some snail on the back of this ribbon to go along the top. And what I've done with this one is just set it down so you can see some of the designer series paper at the top. And then we will wrap it around the back side of this and do the same thing. Put some snail down here so that we can capture this piece of ribbon around the back. There we go. So that is our piece that's going to go on the front of our card. Now, what I did was I cut a piece of this paper with the punch. Get this ribbon out of the way now. And I just wanted to repeat the pattern. And then I've got my happy birthday that I am just going to go ahead and stamp on this. And I need my, looks like I need my pierce mat. Let me put just a little piece of scratch paper over the top of that. And I've got my chocolate chip ink here. And so I'm going to just ink this up. Set this here. And do my happy birthday right in the middle. Of that. And this one I did in Tranquil Tide, and I just think it's prettier with the brown, and I thought the brown would show up a little bit better. So that's one of the things I changed on this one. All right, so, and that is all the stamping there is for this. And then I have a piece of scrap that is my Night of Navy. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put my snail on the back of this. Happy birthday. And put it in place on my scrap navy. And I'm going to get a little bit of a margin here, and then I'm going to try and stick to that as the margin all the way around. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut this and see if I can't mimic that margin all the way around here. There we go. All right, so that's all ready to go now. And I'll move more things out of the way here. And, okay, so this is going to go up on dimensionals. And then I've got my little button here, and I've got a little bit of linen thread, and I'm just going to cut more than I need. And what I'm going to do is to put a glue dot. Maybe not. I think maybe I'll put a little tiny bit of Tombow. I just want a little piece of glue on the front of the button, just where the linen thread is going to tie up. So that'll stay put, because I'm only putting one knot in it and I don't want it to come apart. Okay. I guess I could have waited to put my glue on until I had my linen thread ready to go. So I'm just going to tie a single knot with my linen thread here right over the top of that glue. And that'll help hold that little piece of thread in place. And then I'm going to just trim off the edge of the linen thread. Don't need much, just a dab. And then I'm going to also put some Tombow on the back of this button. I suppose I could use a glue dot, but and I'm going to set that in place right here on the edge of my sentiment. And if I just hold that in place for a second, the Tombow will get its grip and my button will be nice and secure on my card. So there we go. That's the whole front of the card base completed. Now I'm going to add dimensionals on the back of this, and I'm going to add quite a few because this piece that I'm adding to the front of this, pardon me, is not cardstock. It's just designer series paper. So it's not as stiff or as sturdy, I guess is the word I'm looking for, as a piece of cardstock. And I don't want it sagging. And so I'm going to add quite a few. There, and I think that's going to be just fine. I was afraid it would not hang in there, but I think it's just fine. Okay, so we have the inside to do. For the interior of the card, what I'm going to do is, I had originally cut this piece to be the whole size that I needed for the inside, 5 1/4 by 4. But I decided that I didn't like the look of the designer series paper coming over the top of the cardstock. I want the designer series paper to be under the cardstock. So in order to make that work, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to add the designer series paper to the edge of the, I just put glue on the wrong side here. So I'm going to need to put some glue on the edge of my crumb cake here. And in this case, I'm going to have on the front of the card, we have this piece on the bottom and that little piece above it, and we're going to do the reverse on the inside. So what I'm going to do here is put that cardstock down with a little bit of a narrower edge here on the edge of my crumb cake. And then I'm going to take this piece, add some more glue. Now I've got glue on there, so now I can use it. And I'm just going to let that one little pattern that I was interested in show along the edge. So there we have that. Now I can trim this down to exactly fit. And then I will need to trim this down now because this piece is much too big to fit on the inside. So I'm going to take this back to 4 inches in total width. And there's my 4 inches. And now I will put more snail on the back of this. all that trouble of getting the silicone mat, I guess I better use it. Okay, and then this is going to go on the inside of our card here and have a pattern that matches the outside of the card. And there we have our inside. And I like that a lot better. It just looked unfinished to me, and I don't know why. It just didn't look quite right not to have the crumb cake be on the outer edge. So that is the project for the day. Very simple little card, and yet I think pretty attractive. And it could say happy birthday, it could say thank you, it could say congratulations, it could say just about anything. And I thought if you needed a longer sentiment, like you needed congratulations, you could use some of that burlap ribbon and kind of fray the edges and lay the sentiment across that. And I think that would be very pretty too. But that is our card for today. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do appreciate it. Let's see. There's a couple of new things going on. The prize draw for the month is 2-month subscription to Paper Pumpkin. And speaking of Paper Pumpkin, the March kit, right now we are celebrating the 5th birthday of Paper Pumpkin in Stampin' Up. And so the March kit, which is available for order between now and March the 10th at midnight, is going to have a very special free gift inside the kit, along with, and they're saying some kind of a keepsake box. And I'm not exactly sure, but they're being very cryptic about it. But usually when they do something special like that, it really is pretty nice. Anyway, there's an extra free gift for a March kit, and the March kit is available between, you can order between now and March the 10th. And the prize draw, I said, was the Paper Pumpkin. If you're already a subscriber to Paper Pumpkin, you can pick something else from the catalog for your prize. And joining Stampin' Up, it's a wonderful time to join. You get all kinds of extras during celebration. You get 2 extra stamp sets from Stampin' Up for joining. Then you get $40 of product from me when you join my team. And it's a wonderful time to join Stampin' Up. And if you're thinking about it, my telephone number is always below the video, and I'd be happy to chat with you about it. So that's it for me today. I'll be back soon with more projects and more cards. Bye.